Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I know I'm a little behind on getting this up, but hey, considering we can just completely skipped doing weekly reviews around Miss Marvel, be glad you're getting it like the day of the first episode. I blame these guys. These guys gave me a heart attack last night in a situation where I thought it was going to be a blowout, going to be able to go to sleep early. I got to bed late. So it's a little bit late in the day, but I did want to make sure I got up a non-spoiler review on this first episode of this new Marvel television show because I know a lot of you guys look forward to that. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Season 1, Episode 1, A Normal Amount of Rage. And we're back. We're back, baby. Marvel's back. There's no Star Wars things getting in the way this time. Gonna keep up weekly with She-Hulk. And as you guys know, I love to put up a non-spoiler first because I know some of you won't be able to watch it till later tonight. Maybe not until tomorrow or a different day during the week. Maybe some of you are binging it and just waiting, but you want to know what's going on. So I want to make sure this exists. Plus, this will get up faster than the watch along. We will have a full reaction episode by episode and spoiler review tacked onto the back of that. So you'll see that coming after this video. But for now, it's time to dive in spoiler free and just give you my general thoughts on the first episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And I gotta tell you, if you would have told me before the show started, like based on the trailers, I was like, oh cool, we're clearly mashing up the origin and the attorney storyline from the She-Hulk comics. Figure we're gonna get a bunch of training stuff with Hulk, a couple episodes. You have 9 to play with, so you figure maybe 2 or 3 there, and then 6 for the attorney stuff. And if that was my mindset, if someone came to me and was like, now we're gonna do the whole origin in a 30-minute episode, I would have been like, that seems like a recipe for disaster. But bear with me, it kind of worked. I'm really impressed with what they pull off in this episode. I will say that shrinking the episodes down, I did just watch recently Miss Marvel, and having episodes that were always over 40 minutes, I thought was a huge plus for that show. It was able to take its time, do everything that it needed to do, never felt rushed, never felt hurried. And you get into She-Hulk, first episode is 30 minutes, and you go, that's the origin story is right there. You kind of go, what happened? We just kind of did this really well with Miss Marvel. But the approach that they're taking with She-Hulk, I think, is why they did it, and I think why it mostly works. My biggest issue with this first episode is because you're kind of packing the origin into a 30-minute episode, and there's a lot to pack in there, and they do pack in a lot. We're told a little bit more than we're shown. There are a lot of questions that I certainly had coming into this around Bruce and Hulk himself, because we've seen things where it's like, wait, how did that happen? I thought, like, Bruce was down to being regular Bruce, and his arm was in a sling, and then we saw him in, I can never remember which movie or spot it was, but like we see him pop up somewhere where he's back to being, Smart Hulk, and then we see trailers in here where he's Smart Hulk, and it's like, oh, how did that happen? And we do get a lot of answers to questions around Bruce's character and things that have happened to him, but they're pretty much all told to us. And I think if you gave the show 10 extra minutes, you could have shown a lot of what Bruce tells Jen. But considering that this is She-Hulk's show, that we're coming from Jen's perspective, her being unconscious during the period of time where this stuff happens, and then Bruce telling her how these things happen when she asks the questions, makes sense. Again, I think you still could have shown us, but in general, it ends up, I think, really working. And like I said, with the amount of stuff that they're trying to pull off in this first episode, and the fact that it's Jen's perspective when it comes to the Hulk stuff, I don't necessarily mind that we're kind of told some of the answers to things that we had questions about. When it comes to Jen becoming She-Hulk and the origin, it's a different adaptation, but when you're looking at it from the perspective of we're going to try to pull this off in this first episode, that we can move forward with the Attorney at Law stuff and focus really on Jen's story the rest of the way, the adaptation that they come up with makes sense. And rather than having to have a prolonged story, there's a quick way to get to what you got to get to. And I think it works. The elements that they kind of drop in to get you there, I thought were fun. And then, mild spoiler, but the remainder of the episode is a lot of that stuff that we saw in the trailers with them on the island. And yeah, it's a quick training sesh, but there's reasons for why everything happens so fast. And I think the way that the show opts to handle why everything is moving really quickly and what the motivations are for that, I think it really works for Jen's character. It works in the moment, and you have to remember that she's able to break the fourth wall, and there's an element of the fourth wall breaking that kind of also makes sense as to why things are kind of moving quick in the episode. But the stuff that we get, the little training bits that we do have, are excellent. And one of the things that I really appreciate already about the show, I think is very important for any show that breaks the fourth wall, is it's very obviously self-aware of itself, and it's one of the other things that makes this episode work. It points out and pokes fun at itself a lot for moving fast. There are a lot of references to oh man, now you're a Hulk. There are lots of things you gotta learn, and we're moving really, really quickly. And the way they handle that and make fun of it in a self-aware type of way, I really, really enjoyed and really, really thought it worked. And then, where it gets you to, like I said, the way that the episode is teed up, I honestly think that from a script standpoint, we're off and running now, and we don't have to speed through anything. Now we can take 8 episodes in a sitcom half-hour style that tell Jen Walters' story. And I think, it was one of those coming in, knowing Bruce was going to be here, lots of questions, lots of things you could dive into with Hulk, and knowing that you can't do a solo Hulk movie because Universal owns those rights still, working Bruce's story into other properties is kind of important. But I think when you're dealing with, you look at Ragnarok, right? He becomes the sidekick to Thor in Thor's movie there, right? Where it's oh yeah, my buddy here. And he's not a sidekick. Hulk gets a real story in that. But you're able to share that screen because they've shared the screen already together. And they're established characters. I think the thing with Jen, for a lot of people like myself, I might be a comic book fan, I might know She-Hulk, but I don't necessarily know a lot of She-Hulk. I want to spend a lot of time with Jen Walters, and I want to get to know that character. So I think it's smart to take another piece of that Bruce Banner story and get it done, and then switch and kind of shift gears to focus on Jen. And yeah, would 10, 15 more minutes where we could have spent some more time with Banner, given his story a little bit more, worked and not impacted that, because you'd still get 8 episodes that focus on Jen? Absolutely. But if you're trying to create a half-hour sitcom style to these episodes, then I get why you do what you do. And ultimately, it's wildly entertaining because Tatiana Maslany is a freaking superstar that I didn't know about. I haven't watched The Orange is the New Black. I know there's some other spots that she's popped up in that I'm kind of unfamiliar with, but man, I've had my friend Crystal, who's a big She-Hulk and a big Maslany fan, talk me up on her and got me very excited, and better than I could have expected, man. She handles the humor so well. She's gonna be able to handle drama that's thrown at her really, really well. It's one of those things where, you talk about balance. This first episode, I think, is skewed more toward the sitcom comedy realm, but there are some dramatic, serious things that have to happen, and yes, they're quick, but in those moments, Maslany is able to snap you right into the place you need to be and bring the tone right where it needs to be, and then able to get right back into the joking. And the way that she's going to be able to balance that stuff, I think, is going to be what makes the show work. And the visuals, look, we know Hulk, that stuff is already established. We know some of the She-Hulk stuff looked a little funky. I thought for the most part it looked pretty good this episode. I'm finding that I think it's the hair, something in this area, is what's kind of throwing me off with any visuals, at least this episode. I get that we're going to probably get some wonky visuals, because just taking Tatiana Maslany and just enlarging her features and creating a digital character that way that's supposed to look almost identical to Maslany, just slightly bigger. I think that's a tough thing to pull off visually. And I think, if we're in this realm most of the time, it's not going to be anything to worry about. And like I said, Maslany's performance makes you not even really notice or focus on it that much. She's going to be a firecracker, and I'm very, very excited to see her take the lead in this show. And then we're introduced to some characters at the beginning and the end around the attorney stuff. Not much to really say because I don't think we've had a lot of time with anyone. The only person from that realm that really pops is her best friend at her law office. I can already really dig that relationship with a little bit of time that we've had with them. But the only other person that there really is to talk about in this one is Ruffalo as Banner and Hulk, or Smart Hulk, if you will. And yeah, look, like I said, you're moving through his story kind of quick. You're telling more than you're showing, but one of the things I love about Marvel in general is the way that these actors commit to these characters and really become them. And Ruffalo is the Hulk. And I love anytime we get Ruffalo doing Hulk stuff. And his chemistry with Maslany is really, really strong. And they feel like family. They don't feel like brother and sister, which is important because they're cousins in the show. So they have kind of that, like, you could have a brother-sister kind of relationship with a pair of cousins. But knowing that these two are not, like, close like that, they nail, I think, the cousin relationship and the way that kind of, Bruce is trying to instill his wisdom somewhat hulkishly to Jen. I think the way that Ruffalo handles that stuff and delivers that really works well. And like I said, his chemistry with Maslany and a lot of their back and forth is excellent. So for a first episode, I really enjoyed it, man. I think it sets the tone that hopefully the show is going for. I think that works. I think maybe it won't work for everybody, but I think you have a lead that's going to be able to navigate the waters of a show that should be comedic. If you break the fourth wall, you got to bring in the comedic elements with that, especially when you're in a world with Deadpool. And I think Feige's going to want to establish that, like, hey, we don't need to show the world that we can do this stuff with Deadpool. We can do this stuff on our own with the original wall breaker with She-Hulk. And I think the humor works. I think the tone for the first episode works. Yeah, we're moving at a lightning quick pace, but ultimately I think it works as an origin story and allows us to get a real sense of who Jen is and how she's going to play in this world. And now we can dive into, 8 episodes or hopefully 4 hours worth of content that's really focused on one particular storyline and not kind of mashing of the two. So let's get the C-Maniacs up. Like I said, excellent performances from Maslany and Ruffalo. I think the visual effects work more often than not. The story's moving really quick. You get an origin in 30 minutes. Does it feel like it could have had some more time? Sure. Does it tell a little more than it shows? Absolutely. Could you have shown a little bit more than you told? No doubt. But I think if you're taking this 30-minute style sitcom approach to things, it works and allows you to now be ready to go and be off and running. And one of the other things that I definitely did not mention in the reaction video that'll go up on that stuff, just in the moment, and definitely didn't mention during the main spoiler-free area of the this review, but there are post-credit scenes. I've heard, reviewers got the first 4. I've heard there's one at the end of every episode. It's nothing that's driving the story, at least not in this first episode. Kind of reminds me of like the Peacemaker stuff, where it's like you're kind of getting an extension of another scene that already is funny. And the scene that it's taking off from involves a bar that Hulk has on this little island that they're able to go to, and a conversation around Steve Rogers. That's one of the things I really do like about this episode, too, is one of the Hulk parts, is like how he constantly likes to name drop his superhero buddies, but the conversations around Rogers in the episode, they kind of hinted at some stuff, and they really kind of bring it home with the post-credit scene. Very, very funny, and that's, I think, what the show's going for, and I think it nails that stuff. I don't know if it's going to work for everybody, but for me, a solid 4 out of 5 C-Maniacs, no doubter. I think there's lots of room for improvement. Like I said, I think it felt like we were being told a little bit more than we were being shown, and I understand it, but it does kind of knock it a little bit down in that department, especially after just watching Miss Marvel's 6 episodes in rapid fire succession. But a really, really, really strong start. I'm very excited for Maslany. I'm very excited to see Jen Walters and She-Hulk on screen more. Can't wait for next week. But now I'm going to shut up before I spoil something for you guys and ask you, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? We'll start with you who haven't watched the episode. You're watching this non-spoiler. You probably haven't watched it. What are you looking forward to in She-Hulk Attorney at Law? And what about what we just talked about either excites you or makes you a little bit nervous? Where are you falling in the realm of like lots and lots of comedy or a better balanced mixture? Like, are you a Love and Thunder fan or are you a Ragnarok fan? What are you looking for in your comedy? And what are you looking for or forward to in this show? If you did watch and you want to comment, please keep it spoiler free, but let me know if you like the episode, if you're looking forward to where things are going, what's been set up, or if it's not working for you. Anything you got, man, good, bad, indifferent, on the first episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law goes down below in the comments section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new, you want to come hang out with C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions, you want to be here every Thursday morning, or afternoon, or evening, whenever you watch this video, but you want to be here on Thursdays when we're talking She-Hulk, you want to show a little love and support to this guy, well, hey, come join C-Maniac Nation. Super easy, covers all those things, and you can do it by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, for the C-Mans, Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace!
Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.